Welcome to Body Mind Healing. I'm Diana Lindsay. In the last units, we have focused on intentional healing, all of the things that we can do to move towards health and remove the obstacles to healing in our way. But in this unit, we recognize that we don't heal in a vacuum. As highly social creatures, our social environment has a deep impact on how well we live and how long we do. This unit focuses on healing in community. Now, wait a minute, you say. When I get sick, I like to hole up in a room. And if you've got the cold or a flu or another contagious illness, that's a very good strategy. It keeps the flu and the virus from spreading, and it keeps the rest of your family safe. But when we're ill with a chronic illness, and in fact with life in general, being alone is not our most successful strategy. In fact, of all of the strategies we typically employ, healthy weight, exercise, diet, sleep, even sunlight, social support is our biggest predictor of how well we do when faced with chronic illness. Now, why is that? Matthew Lieberman, a professor of psychology at UCLA, in his book Social and his TED Talk, describes the neuroscience and power of these highly human connections and why we are wired to connect. In fact, Lieberman says that his research shows there's two distinct networks that support social and non-social thinking, and that as one network increases its activity, the other tends to quiet down, kind of like a neural seesaw. And here's the really fascinating thing. Whenever we finish doing some kind of non-social thinking, the network for social thinking comes back on like a reflex, popping up almost instantly. Now, why would the brain be set up to do this? Well, we've recently found that the reflex prepares us to walk into the next moment of our lives, focused on the minds behind the actions that we see from others. Evolution has placed a bet that the best thing for our brain to do in any spare moment is to get ready to see the world socially. I think that makes a major statement about the extent to which we're built to be social creatures, and Lieberman concludes that getting more social is the secret to making us smarter, happier, and more productive. In another study from the University of Texas, they discovered that social relationships have significant impact on our health. In fact, they affect health through many different pathways. That relationships have both benefits and costs if not done well, and that they shape our outcomes throughout our life and have a cumulative impact of our health over time. What's more, the costs and benefits of social relations are not distributed equally in the population. The converse is also true. Social and physical pain are similar. They are both real, and they both respond to Tylenol. Social isolation, for example, is a well-established heart attack risk factor. Not only is heart attacks caused through social connection, so is obesity. Researchers from Harvard and the University of California investigated 12,000 people who had been evaluated medically on multiple occasions from 1971 to 2003 as part of the Framingham Heart Study. They found that if one sibling became obese during the study, the chance that another sibling would become obese increased by 40%. Now, genetics might account for some of this weight gain, but not for the fact that if a spouse became obese, the likelihood that the other spouse would follow suit jumped by 37%. Now, it's not just ill effect. Happiness also is contagious. Upon analysis, scientists have found that certain relationships are most impacted by happiness, and they propose a theory called the social contagion theory, which has 3 degrees of influence, and this is where the study results get exciting. Lead researcher and professor at Harvard Medical School, Nicholas Christakis, says, everyday interactions we have with other people are definitely contagious in terms of happiness. The effect goes well beyond the people with whom we have direct contact. When one person becomes happy, the effect can spread by 3 degrees, which includes friends of friends. Let's look at how inner circles impact our health. James Cohen at the University of Virginia discovered that when he administered functional MRIs to 16 married women while telling him they may experience a mild shock, causing the images of their brain activity to light up like Christmas trees, but when the women held hands with one of the experimenters, that stress response subsided, and when they held hands with their husbands, particularly if they loved them, it really quieted down. Even more intriguing, if you're in a happy relationship, clasping hands reduces stress-related activity in a brain area called the hypothalamus, which lowers the levels of cortisol coursing through your system. Marriage also seems to be very important. According to research, the effect of marriage adds an average 7 years to the life of a man and something like 4 for a woman. But there's a flip side. Over time, the quality of a marriage, whether negative or positive, impacts your health. And it's not just marriage. A recent analysis found the influence of social relationships on mortality comparable to the risk conferred by tobacco and alcohol use. Furthermore, it exceeded the risks associated with physical activity, and it has a greater chance of leading to obesity. Now, how? Some of the effects on the body that have been pointed out by researchers are more opiates, our very own painkillers, fewer hormones that cause war on our tissues and our bodies, slower tumor growth, and bolstered immunity. Perhaps this is why a tight circle of friends can add 15 years to your life, lower your rates of dementia, cause fewer heart attacks, recover faster from stroke and trauma, and in general increase our sense of satisfaction. Dan Buettner has gone and traveled the world to the populations that live the longest. He calls these areas blue zones, and out of the 9 reasons for why he thinks these people live the longest, 4 of them have to do with social relationships. Really a staggering amount. So I think that this is an area worth getting right in our lives. And to do that, it's helpful to think of just one moment where you really felt supported. What made that specific moment feel so good? And how could you make that more of a daily staple in your lives? And we'll see you in the next unit. Thank you.